The question is it recommended or not recommended for couples to have another couple over Shabbos afternoon? And really this question extends a little bit. Is it a good idea for couples to go out socially, let's say on a Motzei Shabbos or, whatever, to go out together as two couples together, and again, to have another couple over for Shabbos, etc. So let me address this question, first of all, by prefacing something that my Rebbe, the Rishiva Zatzal, would often say. He was extremely, extremely against this type of idea, and really there are two reasons for it. Number one, even though no one suspects anyone and everything is always above board, having been around long enough, I'd like to share with you that there are many, many times when people become too friendly, the husband with the other wife, the wife with the other husband, etc. And before you know it, there are a lot of troubles, problems, and issues. And again, unfortunately, from being there involved in the aftermath, it is very, very unwise, especially in today's day and age, to do that sort of thing. But there's a much more basic reason that doesn't even really stem from necessarily gedorim or parameters of tznius per se, but there's just a certain wisdom in terms of a marriage. Let's imagine from a woman's perspective. Okay, let's assume for a minute you're a very attractive woman, and let's assume your husband only has eyes for you. Okay, and you're not really afraid of having this other couple over on a semi-regular basis because you're far more attractive than your friend is, and you're not afraid that your husband's going to look at her, etc., because he's a great guy, and you're beautiful, and there's no problem whatsoever. Okay, let's grant that for a moment. Here's a certain realization that I think has to set in. There are going to be moments when you're more beautiful and moments when you're not as beautiful. And even if you tell me your beauty is unparalleled, you're the most attractive woman in North America, and no one else even comes within hundreds of miles, there are going to be times, again, when your hair is down and you're not quite as wonderful looking. But don't worry about it, because your friend is going to be fully dolled up, fully made up, her sheitel is going to be perfect, and everything is going to be just in place. But you see, it really cuts a little bit more deeply than that. I don't care how wonderful you are as a human being. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have some days when you're in a great mood, some days when you're in a kind of not such great mood. Sometimes you're a bit petty. Sometimes when you're going to be sort of, not on your best. Well, don't worry about it, because your friend is going to be at that Shabbos table on her best behavior. Everyone in public is always smiling. Everyone is always nice. And what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a very, very bad position. Meaning to say, if you want your husband to remain happily married to you and not be asking himself, did I make the right decision? Why would you bring someone else into your marriage? And whether you realize it or not, that's effectively what you're doing. When you bring another couple by on a semi-regular basis, whether it be for Shabbos meals, whether you go out together, what happens is invariably people compare. And your husband's going to look at this woman and say, wow, she never gets kvetchy, she never gets cranky, she never carries on. And even if you're very, very calm, I guarantee you have issues. We all have things. And I guarantee this other woman is not going to let everyone else at that Shabbos table know about her stuff. So whatever your thing is, whether it's you're too neat, you're too messy, you're too on time, you're too late, whatever your thing is, don't worry about it, because this woman will not be showing that side to her. You ever notice that people on dates are always on their best behavior and no one realizes until after the marriage who they really are? We're very good at putting our best foot forward when we're in public and people see us. And what you're doing is you're asking yourself to be compared to another woman, but you're doing it in an extremely unfair manner. She's going to be on her best looks. She's going to be on her best behavior. And then your husband is going to remember you in your high times and your low times. And I'm not in any sense saying that your husband isn't a great guy. And I'm not saying he's looking anywhere. But what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a jeopardized position. And I don't know why you would do it. And the truth is, it's not only from a wife's perspective, a husband as well. Keep in mind, your wife is going to be there looking at this other man. And again, you have the same sort of thing. At times you're a great behavior, and times you're not so generous. Sometimes you're a bit petty, sometimes whatever. But don't worry about it. This guy at the Shabbos table, when you're going out, he's going to be in the best of moods. He's going to be in the best way. And again, what you're doing is you're putting your marriage in a bad situation. I think it is extremely unwise to have couples over in that situation. Now, again, from time to time, if it's once in a great long while, it's probably not the end of the world. But again, to have it be a regular part of we go out regularly together, or we have them over, on a somewhat regular basis for Shabbos for a meal, I think it's a very bad idea. Again, number one, from the tznius aspect, and number two, more importantly, within the marriage context itself, it's really not going to do your marriage any good, and I don't think it's a good idea.